I started the game as a lamb, looking extremely upset while having my hands chained up. I was escorted upwards by a group of hooded minions who shoved me back when I tried to detour. At that moment, I knew I was about to be lamb chopped to these motherfuckers. Left with no choice, I dragged my feet through this long walkway where I was greeted by more hooded minions and 4 creepy looking figures who I can only assume were the ones that are in charge. As they seasoned me with salt and pepper using their words, the oversized hooded minion stomped over to me, pulling his humongous axe back to generate power. I accepted my fate as I closed my eyes, only to see myself surrounded by white light as I felt the axe touch my skin. I looked around and asked, am I in heaven? Just across me, I could see this creature chained up, struggling with all his might to break free. I walked up to him, only to find out he is called the One Who Waits. He quickly explained to me that the 4 figures I saw earlier were priests and they've bounded him to these chains. The One Who Waits then proposed a sweet deal that I could not resist: to become a delicious lamb chop to those hooded minions, or get a second life and kick some ass. In return, I would have to start a cult under his name. The choice was obvious. I would much rather be kicking people's ass than be on someone's plate, so I selected absolutely to prove my worth. Oh yeah, even if I do want to be a lamb on someone's plate, I couldn't, because the only options available were yes and absolutely. The One Who Waits was happy with our answer and proceeded to pass us a red crown, marking the beginning of our journey as a cult leader. As I blinked, I felt my surroundings changed as I woke up to where I was just used as a sacrificial lamb. Looking at the surprised faces of the hooded minions, you can tell that they were going to be hostile. Sadly for them, this lamb right here ain't one to mess with, as I took them out with ease. As the last minion got slashed, I proceeded to venture deeper into the woods, which led me to meet Ratau, a one-eyed weasel claiming to be the previous vessel for the One Who Waits. He then said his first mission was to get me out of here safely, which was very unconvincing as he implicitly said "fuck you, you're on your own" as he dug into the ground and left me to venture deeper into the woods on my own. I then chanced upon different kinds of monsters, ranging from worms to bats. But the most interesting thing that I chanced upon was another ritual, which Ratau strongly suggested me that this would be the best time to recruit our first member. I fended off the cow from the respective enemies, untied him from the ropes, before sucking him into oblivion. Shortly after, I chanced upon markings scribbled onto the floor, to which Ratau mentioned that it is a teleporter that can be used to go to multiple places, including the place I would build my cult. As we teleported over to the new home, it looked like an absolute mess. But I guess it's better than nothing. The first thing I did was to indoctrinate the cow that was saved earlier, with the intention of making this cow an all-lamb club. I gaslit the cow into thinking he's a lamb by naming him Lamb Number 1. I then tasked him to collect some wood as these resources will be needed when building the base. This is when Ratau reminded me that our cult members are living creatures and would need food too. Heeding his advice, I tried building a cooking fire but was short of 5 wood and 2 stone, leading me to gather these resources and getting the cooking pot set up before my following of 1 goes crazy due to hunger. Shortly after, Ratau insists that a shrine is to be built. To build it, we will require more fellows and gold, which can be gathered in the lands of Old Faith. He also proceeded to explain that each of the 4 priests represent a chain that is tying down the One Who Waits, and the only way for it to be free is to slay the 4 priests. Making my way over to the land of Old Faith, I was then greeted with 4 coloured gates. Similar to nightclubs, there was an entry fee for each gate, only that the currency they are dealing with here is in followers. At this point in time, the only gate I could enter is this gate called Darkwood, which requires a minimum of 1 follower. A ritual was then performed with our cult of 1 member to open the green gates, kickstarting our mission to slay 4 priests. As I walked into Darkwood, I spotted a tombstone that gave me the impression that one of the priests was named Lashy, and obeying the ways of the Old Faith will lead to destruction. Not giving a flying fuck, I destroyed the tombstone as I carried on with my journey. As I explored the dungeon while slaying the members of the Old Faith, I met up with Clawneck, who I assume is a tarot card reader, to which we drew a card that gave us an increase in attack rate by 1.25 times. Clawneck also gave us a set of tarot cards that can be potentially drawn the next time I meet him. This is also where I found out that one of the tarot cards looked like a dildo, but no, it's a rabbit's foot. You sick fuck. I continued wandering off into the dungeon, slaying the members of Old Faith, gathering more gold for each room cleared, and getting myself a disease heart, giving us the perk of damaging everything on screen if I get hit. Halfway through our journey, the supposedly bright sky turned grim as a puddle of shadow emerged from the ground. Lo and behold, it was Lashy. Lashy couldn't believe it, we were still alive after the sacrifice. He also recognized the red crown that I was wearing, signaling to him that I am with the One Who Waits. He then put up a brave front and said that he is still stronger and I should turn around and run before it's too late. Of course, I ain't a pussy, so I tried to swing my sword at him, but before my sword connected, he submerged back into the ground with the skies turning back to normal. We continued maneuvering through the dungeon, to which I found an upgrade to our blade before walking straight into the boss room. There stood a hooded minion who looked weak, but as I walked closer, Lashy emerged through the shadows, saying that its followers would do anything to protect him. The hooded minion named Amdusias agreed as he transformed into this hideous looking monster. Unfortunately for him, he was still weak with only two kinds of attack. A ranged attack that speeds, which I presume is poison, and a normal physical attack where he lunges at me. After understanding his attack patterns, taking him down was not difficult. As we swung the final blow at him, a timid little bush appeared, as he said he would join the Lamb Club if I were to spare his life. I pondered for a while before agreeing to his terms. I walked into the next room hoping to see Lashy, only to be greeted with a red door which had a red light lit up. With that, we inferred that before the battle with Lashy, there will be 3 other similar dungeons that needs to be cleared. With nothing left to do here, I walked over to the markings and teleported back to base. When we arrived at the base, the first thing I looked to do was to indoctrinate the little bush that was once Amdusias, gaslighting him into thinking he is a lamb by naming him as Lamb number 2 and turning him into a cow. There's no free lunch in this world, so we asked Lamb number 2 to help us with the village by mining stones. Shortly after, Ratau continued to emphasize the need for a shrine, so we got one built in our base at a cost of 30 gold. 30 gold to suck the soul out of my followers? Who would say no, right? Ratau's excitement caused him to give me another follower, making me task this new follower to do one thing and one thing only: to worship the shit out of me. I also built a temple to perform rituals and preach sermons, making our base one step closer to being the next appearance of Pin My House. As we checked our newly built temple out, Ratau introduced me to an item called the Commandment Stone, allowing doctrines to be instilled into the cult. Me being interested in what it does, we headed straight to the land of Old Faith in search of the Commandment Stones. I entered Darkwood for the second time, this time equipped with the Apostate Cleaver. As I explored Darkwood slaying monsters, getting tarot cards that look like a dildo, running from what seems to be a monster trying to squish me into a pancake, and saving new followers just to force them to join my cult, I bumped into Ratau who told me that the one who waits has blessed me with a crown ability, allowing me to become Superman shooting lasers out of my eyes. I also met Haro, who honestly was just yapping, cause I honestly did not understood a single thing that came out from his mouth. But he gave us 3 pieces of stone required to form the Commandment Stones, so he cool. As I got closer to one of Lashy's faithful minions, Lashy tried to intimidate me once again by coming out from the shadows, but come on bro, that gets boring. Show me another magic trick. He spawned some monsters which I took out easily, before approaching his faithful minion, Valifar. After observing him a little, I noticed that he has 3 attack patterns. Him being Bugs Bunny and jumping around, him charging up and shooting fireballs in every direction, and lastly, turning into a machine gun and firing fireballs at me. Once I understood his attack patterns, taking him out was a piece of cake, allowing me to convert this scared little minion into the Lamb Club. With Valifar down, this meant we are one step closer to taking Lashy out and teabagging him. I headed back to home base, collected the devotions from the shrine, built some beds for my followers, indoctrinate 2 more living creatures into the cult, making one of them in charge in building while the other one to worship the Great Lamb, me, cleared some poop around the base, and prepared some food for my followers before they go on a hunger strike. In return, the followers had to join me in the temple to accept a new doctrine that I imposed with the Commandment Stone. This means that my followers will have to dance around the flame to increase the cult's fate whenever I feel like it. Unfortunately, I was not able to perform the bonfire ritual due to the lack of resources, so we proceeded to do our sermon before exploring Darkwood again. As I walked into Darkwood for the 3rd time, we were blessed with a Bane Axe which poisons enemies when struck, and a Torch of Turner that allows us to be Dr. Octopus. I then proceeded to slash everything that isn't a member of the Lamb Club. It wasn't long before I met 3 out of the 4 priests, Hackett, Kalama, and Lashy, confirming that the sacrifice was unsuccessful and they should not bother Shamura about such a measly inconvenience. Piece of shit looking down on me. We continued slaying the followers of the Old Faith, obtaining a buff to have a 10% increased chance of a critical hit, saved this rabbit from being sacrificed, collected some berries for food, found a new weapon with a higher damage before facing Barbatos, the 3rd loyal follower of Lashy. I might be sick in the head, but Barbatos does look like a male sexual organ. Doesn't make it any better that he spits poison out from its mouth. Apart from that, the other attack pattern that he has was to cause spikes to come from all angles. With these 2 skills being relatively easy to avoid, taking Barbatos out was as easy as taking candy from a baby. This meant that we are so close to finally handing Lashy's ass back to him. As I headed back home from our 3rd adventure, I had the opportunity to name the cult, allowing us to finally name the cult the Lamb Club. Sounds harmless to go under the radar of the Old Faith, but deadly enough to take them out. I then proceeded to upgrade the base by building a farm to grow berries, indoctrinate the 2 creatures saved and turning them into cows with a lamb name, and build new beds for the new joiners. Because these tasks caused us to work till dawn, we had to interrupt everyone's sleep by performing a sermon. Are they unhappy? Maybe, but do I care? Nah. While everyone was asleep, I snuck into the final gates of Darkwood, all ready to take down Leshy once and for all. Leshy gave me a warm welcome as I stepped into the Darkwood by informing me that he will be waiting for me on the other side. To which I said, sure loser. As he sunk into the floor, I was given a Traitor's Razor and a Divine Blast for this dungeon run. With these 2 weapons, we breezed through the members of the Old Faith with one goal in mind, sitting Lashley's ass down. Many things happened in this run. I managed to complete a commandment stone, gained a new follower by stopping a sacrificial ritual, met a fisherman who looks like a fish who assumed that I was trying to steal his fish before introducing me to the best fishing spot. Of course, I didn't steal his spot, but I stole his fish. Oops. I also changed our weapon from a dagger to a bane axe from Kudai the shopkeeper, and met Haru once again, who explained to me who were the 4 priests I saw earlier. It's weird because he mentioned 5 though, so maybe 1 is still missing. After what seemed like forever, I finally made it to the gates of Leshy. As the final quarter of the quadrant lit up, the doors opened. I sprinted through a long walkway as the shadows of Leshy got bigger, and lo and behold, he was right in front of me. He then put up his strongest front, before sacrificing 5 of his followers to turn into what looks like a Venus flytrap. All I'm gonna say about this fight is, if someone asks me how I feel about Lashley, all I'm gonna say is lots of yapping, 0 action. Lashley was super easy. He had a total of 3 attack patterns, similar to Barbatos. The first one was that he would spit poison out from his mouth. The second is that he will cause spikes to come from 6 different directions, and the final attack where spikes come from all different directions. It didn't take long before I swung the final blow onto his sorry ass. Even the one who wait said that I absolutely humiliated Leshy. Sadly, I couldn't find a way to teabag him, but I can swing my axe at his already dead body for good measure. I proceeded to take his heart, which led to the chains holding the gates to be forced open. I walked through the gates, which brought me back to my home base as my followers cheered me on. We finally defeated Leshy. We took a victory walk down those steps, head held high, but this is just the beginning. There were 3 more priests to take out, so I am a long way to go before setting the one who waits free. But that, my friends, is a story for another day.